Everyone remembers him as the loyal sidekick Tonto, but Jay Silverheels lived a double life that Hollywood tried to hide. There were 3 specific words written into his scripts that he absolutely loathed, and his secret battle to ban them changed the industry forever. To a generation of television viewers in the late 1940s and 1950s, the Lone Ranger and Tonto were the ultimate symbols of friendship, justice, and the untamed American West. Every single week, millions of families gathered around their glowing black and white television sets to watch this inseparable duo ride across dusty plains, defeating outlaws and bringing order to the frontier. The show was a massive cultural phenomenon, and at the center of its appeal was the unwavering, quiet loyalty of Tonto. But while the cameras captured a harmonious partnership of a masked hero and his faithful sidekick, the reality behind those studio lights was a battleground of intense racial tension, deep creative frustration, and a silent war for human dignity. Jay Silverheels, the man behind the leather buckskin and the stoic mask, was living a daily nightmare. He was a proud, highly articulate athlete and intellectual who found himself trapped in a golden cage, forced to play an offensive caricature for the entertainment of a nation that refused to see him as a real human being. To truly understand the depth of this struggle, we have to go back to who Jay Silverheels actually was before he ever set foot in California. Long before he was known to the world by a name that translated to an insult, he was Harold J. Smith, born in 1912 on the Six Nations of the Grand River Reserve in Ontario, Canada. He was a proud Mohawk of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, raised in a community with a rich history of resilience and cultural pride. His father was a highly decorated captain in World War I, and from a young age, Harold was taught the values of honor, discipline, and physical excellence. He did not grow up wanting to be an actor. Instead, his passion was sports, specifically lacrosse, known traditionally as tuaratin, the creator's game. Harold and his brothers were elite athletes, excelling so spectacularly that they turned professional, playing in major indoor arenas across North America. He was also a powerhouse boxer, fighting his way to a second-place finish in the middleweight division of the prestigious Golden Gloves tournament. His incredible agility, lightning-fast reflexes, and powerful physical build eventually earned him the nickname Silverheels during his lacrosse days. In 1938, while touring Los Angeles with his lacrosse team, his striking physical presence and cinematic charisma caught the eye of the legendary comedian Joe E. Brown. Brown recognized his potential and urged him to try his hand at the motion picture industry. But behind the glittering promise of his historic 1949 casting lies a dark, violent truth that the network tried to bury. During the early days of filming, the silent tension on set exploded into a physical confrontation. A hot-tempered director, furious at Jay's quiet resistance, lost his mind and physically lunged to attack the actor in front of the entire crew. But the director had made one fatal mistake. He forgot that before Jay Silverheels was an actor, he was a heavy-hitting, elite Golden Gloves boxer. Jay stood his ground, meeting the director's aggression with a cold, unyielding glare and a physical presence that radiated quiet danger. The director froze, suddenly realizing the immense physical power of the man he was trying to intimidate. The confrontation ended without a blow being thrown, but it sent shockwaves through the entire studio. It became crystal clear to everyone on set that while Jay played a submissive sidekick on screen, he was a fierce, formidable man off camera who would not tolerate physical or verbal abuse. This explosive incident was just the tip of the iceberg. Entering Hollywood in the late 1930s was a brutal experience for any person of color, but for an Indigenous man, it was a daily test of survival. The industry was dominated by rigid, offensive stereotypes. If a movie or show featured a Native American character, the role was almost always given to a white actor wearing dark makeup, or Italian and Armenian performers painted with red clay to look the part. Indigenous actors were relegated to the background, serving as uncredited extras who were expected to fall off horses and play silent, menacing obstacles for white heroes. Harold, now using his professional name Jay Silverheels, worked tirelessly as a stuntman and extra, studying Shakespearean monologues in his tiny apartment at night, hoping for a chance to show his true dramatic range. In 1949, That chance seemingly arrived when ABC launched the television adaptation of The Lone Ranger. Out of 35 hopeful actors, Jay won the role of Tonto. It was a historic milestone. For the first time in television history, a genuine Indigenous actor was cast in a co-starring role on a major national broadcast. But the triumph quickly dissolved into a harsh reality. Behind the scenes, the show was a low-budget, high-speed production, turning out episodes on a grueling schedule with very little regard for the actor's well-being. Jay was paid approximately half of the salary of his white co-star, Clayton Moore, despite sharing equal screen time and carrying a massive portion of the show's physical action. Even more insulting than the pay disparity was the dialogue written for his character. The show's writers, operating under the deeply racist conventions of classic westerns, filled Tonto's mouth with a cartoonish, stilted dialect often referred to as Tonto talk. These scripts were littered with 3 specific, repetitive words that Jay absolutely loathed. Me wait here. This phrase, along with other broken English sentences like me go to town or me do, chemo saber, was designed to signal to the audience that Tonto was intellectually stunted and subservient. Jay, who was a deeply literate man who spoke perfect, fluent English and had spent years memorizing classical theatrical texts, found it agonizing to deliver these lines. The writers reduced a proud warrior to a monosyllabic sidekick whose entire existence was defined by waiting around for the white hero to make the decisions. To make matters worse, there was the humiliating reality of the name Tonto itself. In Spanish, the word Tonto translates directly to fool, dummy, or stupid. Every week, millions of Spanish-speaking viewers heard the Lone Ranger refer to his loyal companion as a fool, a subtle but constant humiliation that Jay had to bear in silence while smiling for the cameras. Following his dramatic physical confrontation with the director, Jay realized that open defiance could get him blacklisted, but compliance was slowly killing his spirit. So, he began a quiet, brilliant campaign of passive resistance on the set. His most famous tactic was his refusal to read the scripts. Directors and producers frequently complained that Jay never seemed to know his written lines, attributing it to laziness or an inability to memorize the text. In reality, it was a highly calculated protest. Jay knew exactly what the script said, but he simply refused to speak the demeaning, broken English written for him. Instead, he would wait until the cameras were rolling and actively ad-lib his dialogue, transforming the stilted phrases into brief, dignified, and natural-sounding statements. If the script called for a long, embarrassing stream of pidgin English, Jay would cut it down to a simple nod or a single, clean sentence. He stripped the caricature of its buffoonery, replacing it with a quiet, stoic dignity that resonated deeply with viewers. This act of creative rebellion would have gotten any other actor fired immediately, but Jay had a powerful, secret ally in his co-star, Clayton Moore. Clayton, who played the Lone Ranger, was a man of immense personal integrity who deeply respected Jay's athletic prowess and cultural pride. Whenever a director would halt production to scream at Jay for changing his lines, Clayton would step in and defend him. He would tell the director that the scene actually played much more naturally the way Jay did it, and suggest that they simply print the take. Because Clayton was the undisputed star of the show and a massive ratings draw, the directors and studio executives had no choice but to back down. This unique, protective partnership allowed Jay to survive on the show for 8 years and over 200 episodes, slowly chipping away at the offensive stereotype from the inside out. He used his physical grace and screen presence to make Tonto the most competent, reliable, and respected character on the show, often saving the Lone Ranger from his own mistakes. In 1957, the television run of the Lone Ranger finally came to an end. For many actors, this would be a time for nostalgic reflection, but for Jay, it was a moment of liberation. Shortly after the show concluded, he made an official visit to his home reserve, the Six Nations of the Grand River in Ontario. During a press conference, a reporter from the Brantford Expositor asked him what he honestly thought of the iconic character he had portrayed for nearly a decade. Jay did not offer a polished, studio-approved response designed to preserve his Hollywood standing. He looked the reporter in the eye and delivered a blunt, 3-word verdict that shattered the illusion of the happy sidekick. Tonto is stupid. It was a shocking moment of public honesty. Jay explained that the character was an intellectual insult, trapped in a cycle of subservience, and forced to speak a ridiculous language that bore no resemblance to real Indigenous communication. He made it clear that while he was grateful for the work, he deeply resented the way Hollywood used him to perpetuate a damaging myth. But Jay knew that speaking out was only the first step. If he wanted to see real, lasting change in the industry, he had to build the infrastructure to support it. He recognized that Hollywood's treatment of Indigenous actors was a systemic problem. Producers often claimed they couldn't cast Native Americans in complex leading roles because there weren't enough trained Indigenous actors in Los Angeles. To eliminate this excuse forever, Jay decided to take matters into his own hands. In 1966, he co-founded the Indian Actors Workshop in Los Angeles. He poured his own money, his limited free time, and his hard-earned industry reputation into this revolutionary project. It started small, operating out of community centers and church basements, but it quickly became a vital sanctuary for Indigenous talent. Every week, Native performers from various tribes gathered to train in acting, voice, speech, stunt work, and audition techniques. Jay was a hands-on mentor, teaching his students how to project their voices, read scripts critically, and navigate the hostile environment of Hollywood casting offices. He didn't just want to create better actors. He wanted to build a community of self-assured, proud artists who would refuse to accept demeaning roles. The impact of Jay's workshop was profound and far-reaching, fundamentally altering the trajectory of Indigenous representation in media. One of his most notable students was a young actor named Michael Horse. Under Jay's guidance, Michael learned not only the craft of acting, but also the importance of self-advocacy. Decades later, Michael Horse would go on to play Tonto himself in the 1981 feature film, The Legend of the Lone Ranger, and later gain widespread acclaim as Deputy Hawk in the groundbreaking television series Twin Peaks. Because of the training and confidence he received from Jay, Michael was able to approach his career with a level of dignity, artistic control, and financial leverage that Jay's generation had been completely denied. Jay also understood that change required pressure from the highest levels of society. He launched a tireless, personal letter-writing campaign, directly contacting President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Vice President Richard Nixon, and the heads of major television networks, demanding accurate representation and respectful casting practices. He argued that economic boycotts were largely ineffective because Hollywood had never historically valued or relied on the purchasing power of Indigenous audiences anyway. Instead, he insisted that the revolution had to come from within, by training Indigenous artists to be so undeniably skilled, professional, and versatile that the studios could no longer afford to ignore them. Jay Silverheels spent his entire life fighting to tear down the very walls that had made him famous. In 1979, his decades of quiet rebellion and tireless advocacy were finally recognized when he became the first Indigenous actor to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Though his health was rapidly failing after suffering a stroke, he stood proudly before the crowd, a man who had successfully transformed his own humiliation into a historic victory for his people. He took a role designed to keep him in the shadow of a masked hero, and used it to light a path for future generations to step into the spotlight as their own heroes. But Jay's struggle was not an isolated incident in the golden age of Hollywood. During the exact same era, another legendary Western star was waging an equally secret, bitter war against the powerful studio bosses who tried to exploit him. Click on the video on your screen right now to discover the shocking, hidden history of that conflict and how it nearly destroyed his career.